Hello, my name is Im, and welcome back to my channel. Alright guys, Shingeki Day. Eren Jaeger, the rebel to the peace, the devil of Paradis, revealed himself, right, at the end of that episode, and kind of smashed Lord Tiber into the ground and, tossed him up. So it looks quite ominous for Lord Tiber. So really excited to see how this plays out. How Eren kind of proceeds from this point on. Is the Attack Titan about to go on a rampage? Now, before I get into the episode, if you're interested in full length for this episode, or perhaps even early access to the next episode right now, consider checking out the Patreon page. It's just an option. If you're into that, you could check it out and check out the different listings. Maybe something else might even catch your eye. I am doing Death Note on my channel, and of course, you can check out plans for other anime on my channel. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is the follow-up to Death Note. It's always sub. I believe Cowboy Bebop is the only one I might consider the dub for. But yeah, check out the plans. It's on the homepage. Anyone can see the list. It's an extensive list, but it's all handpicked and it's stuff I really want to check out. And I hope to get to a handful of those in 2021. And yeah, consider checking out the pinned comment. It does have the link to the Patreon page and links to the social media. And if you are new to the channel, and if you do end up enjoying this or enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Right then, I think that's about it. Let's get right into the episode. I hope you enjoy. Whoa, hold up, time out. Okay, later. Oh, is this goodbye?
あなた
すまない。
Oh, she knows.
頼んだよ。行くぞ。やはり狙われるとしたら演説の最中だろうか。断言できませんが、その可能性が最も高いでしょう。世界の上層階級と交流を深めては、エルディア人の地位向上に努め、パラディ島の動きに目を光らせていた。
Whoa.
危惧すべきはパラディ島勢力の協力者。
Oh, so see, they have doubts about that as well, huh?
つかめないままでいる。敵の襲撃計画を甘んじて受け、それを最大限に利用する。大案でもあるから聞く。なければ計画通りに。しかし、大勢死にます。その大半はエルディア人だ。悪魔の末裔なんだ。
That look though.
今更じゃないか、マガト隊長。軍服を着てようが着てまいが同じ命だろう。あなたが今までやっていたことをやればいい。先に申し上げ
That look on his face though there.
当然覚悟の上だ。私が表に立たなければ世界は目を向けてくれない。軍も記者も国々の大使も私だけそこから逃れていては世界を味方につけるどころではなくなる。
There it is.
エルディア人は悪魔の末裔に違いありません。
That he
そ
understands.
して私たちは悪魔に違いない。
And that he understands. Holy shit, that was like the primal urge, primal rage Eren. That was terrifying. Unmissable, right? Oh, oh! Get up, get up, get up, get out of here.
ソフィア。
Oh no! Is that the guard? It's her, isn't it?
タイバー家の務め。
Brother? Holy shit, it's happening. That's a different transformation. Aaron said, nah, man, you're not transforming. Ah, symbolic. Got the music.
あの特徴からしてエレン・イエーガーご本人がお越しだ。島まで行く手間が省けた。総員持ち前。
Oh. Oh, look at that shot in the distance.
この地響き、巨人同士が戦ってるみたいだね。
そんなわけが。
私たちがここに拘束されていることが答えでしょう。
Right.
早くここから出ないと。
Ha.
遅いよ。あの顎ひげが怪しかったから手を打っておいたの。
あの時か。
Beardy was shady.
怪しい。私たちを尾行して。車力の並走車両は
Oh my god.
15分で完走できます。
10分でやるよ。
Make it 10.
先に言っとくぞ。
待ってプロコ。少し様子を見てから。
なんだ。
まさか。
Holy shit, they're here. Look at this design. Holy shit, so just manifested this massive hammer?
適正力はおしまいです。ダメだ。始祖を殺せば問題を先送りにする
Right.
だけだ。
It gets passed on.
としてでもここで戦鎚に食わせる。
Look at his stance. He's got any stance. Wow. I mean, one on one, Aaron can't.
今だ、ミカサ。
Forest of the giant trees. Holy shit. Thunder spears. Mikasa. Protect the commander. Look at this, all black.
来てくれたんだ。
Scarf, of course.
エレン、お願い。
She looks different. Oh, look at this. Jean?
あいつら。
Jean boy.
おい、収容区ごと燃やすつもりか。民間人への被害は最小限に抑えろ。分かってんのか、ロック。
Fuck.
ここにいるのは敵と敵の住む建物だけだ。
Wow.
俺たちが
God
嫌い
damn, that gear
ど
though.
れだけ壁の外の奴らに殺されてき
The
たか忘
thought's
れた
still
か。
the same.
お前まだそんなこと言ってんのか。見ろ、エレンは示した。戦えってな。俺たちはただ壁の中で死を待つだけじゃない。俺たちにはあの悪魔が
Look at that. He got his devil figure.
自分が何をやったか分かってるの。あなたは民間人を殺した。子供も殺した。
Whoa. Why does that seem so familiar?
取り返しがつかない。
Whoa, she looks so different. Aaron's just like, whew.
うなじを完全に吹き飛ばした。
俺も同じを念入りに潰した。だが奴は死んでない。
It did transform. Whoa. Oh.
潜水の巨人。硬質化で何度も
Wow.
器用に作っちまうってわけか。ミカサ、奴の注意を引いてくれ。うまくいけば潜水の巨人を食える。
Wow.
ウドとゾフィアがなんで殺されたのかわからないから。
待て、ガビ、行くな。こっから先は戦場だぞ。
Oh, those are the guards.
こんなところで何してんだ。
モンペイのおじさん、私も戦うから通して。
なんだ、敵の攻撃か。どこからだ。ガビ、逃げろ。おい、大丈夫。
おじさん。
Oh man, Gabby. Holy shit, look at Sasha. Sharpshooter. Oh, Connie Springer.
コニー、明かりを灯すことをお忘れですか？
She sounds different too.
そうだった。
Lights? Beacons? Oh. Sasha let her go. I mean, it's a kid, but Sasha's a sniper now.
しばらく来ないぞ。
明かりの設置は
すべて仕掛けました。
Oh, look at Connie, man.
今のところは
You filled out. Oh, it's got a sword now. Look at this.
時間までにあいつさえ無力化できれば。だがわからねえ。何が起きたっておかしくねえよ。
Oh, they're using the music again from episode 1 of the series.
違和感の正体
Remix
が
though.
分かった。潜水の巨人が現れたとき
Right, yeah, it transformed.
分かった。こいつは足
Oh,
元
from the feet up. Yeah, it did look different, didn't it?
うなじからではなくステージ中央の地面からだ。潜水の本体は
That dive though. Oh, she's in the crystal. This is new?
まずい。潜水の巨人が加わる。
No, he can't. Oh, who's that? Galliard.
この瞬間を待っていた。始祖を奪還する。なんだ。紙切れ。
It is.
今のはこいつが。
Rachel. But still, man, I can't really. No, Galliard.
まずい。
Come on, Galliard. Come on. Get up, Galliard. Oh, I can't leave. I hate Joe.
俺は巨人だぞ。人間の姿のまま俺を殺す気か。これがパラディ島の悪魔。
Oh my goodness. That was exhilarating. That flew by, man. The Devil of Paradis. So it looks like Levi still had his blades. Wow. Wow. Phenomenal. Whoa. That was just phenomenal, wasn't it? And so surreal, right? To see the scouts out here in Marley in this capacity, like a tactical unit that is just fine-tuned, to come in and just, you know, just execute this attack. And, you know, the Marley soldiers had no response or no reply to this. They did not know how to handle this, right? Or how to cope. And in that sense, it's so jarring, you know, given how Marley is known to be this, you know, military force. Yet, you know, they are absolutely useless in this capacity. And how about that ending? How about that ending? You know, Galliard's fear, or the fear in his eyes, is so definitive, so believable, right? So visceral. You feel that. You really feel like he fears for his life in that moment. As he sees the scouts coming in, and, you know, I believe he's going on about how they're human, yet they're still coming at me, even though I'm a Titan. Yet they're not showing any fear. They're coming at me. These guys, they're the devils of Paradis. And of course, you know, it ends off as Heicho kind of comes swinging in right at the end. Wow. And, you know, essentially, the ironic thing is that, you know, Marley's responsible for creating these devils of Paradis, right? You know, they excelled at this ODM gear and this approach, this tactical approach, this elusive approach. Again, like I said, Marley soldiers are bamboozled here, right? They simply cannot cope. And, essentially, yeah, going back to the point, Marley made these devils, right, by sending Titans over there. And, over the years, you have groups like the Scouts actually, learning and essentially training and, becoming better because of these Titans that pose a threat to them. That was just exhilarating. That was enthralling. That was so grand in its presentation, right? And the stakes are so high because this isn't just any other, encounter. This is, once again, I might be overusing this term, but it felt monumental because it was the first true encounter, right? And this is a special one, or this is a special case because you have the parody side coming into Marley, right? Turning the tables at this point in time. Now, of course, I'll get into the reasoning behind actually being here. I mean, yeah, more on that later, but, the music, the incredible music, the score, it continues to be so integral to this series. Now, I'm not 100% sure how much of this is Yamamoto's music and how much of this is Sawano's music. I mean, there was certainly Sawano music in here, and there was actually remixes of Sawano's score, most noticeably right at the end there, or near the conclusion as they, played the track from episode 1 of the series once again, the initial attack on that day. They used that in the last episode, but that was just the original. But this one was more of a remix that was utilized here. And then, of course, there's some new music, some standout new music, in the carriage scene. Lord Tiber and Magath. And just throughout the episode, there's so much fantastic music. Now, all of that being said, this episode was quite conflicting. It was. In that sense, it put me right back into that mindset I had around the time Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 4 aired, right? Dany's army against the Lannister army. You had Jaime Lannister and Bronn on one side, and you had Dany and Drogon on the other side. Same type of situation, right? You have now, again, I can only speak for myself, but I'm quite sure many of you are probably in the same position or felt like you were in the same position, of being conflicted because you care about people on both sides. I certainly care about people on both sides. And I found myself being on edge as the Commander Magath is on, or is, in potential danger, or as Colt and Gabby are in danger, right? Udo and Zofia, of course, both of them. Udo seems to be, it looked like he's pretty much done there, right? And Zofia, of course, she got crushed, and Udo got trampled. That, oh my god, that was sickening to see him get trampled like that, because of all the chaos and madness Eren caused, right? Because of the rampage. And as you saw, I found myself back in Galliard. Hey man, I'm not trying to see Galliard die. No chance. So again, I found myself in a tricky position because, of course, seeing the Scouts after so long make a re-entry into the series, it was just thrilling. It was so thrilling and exhilarating to see them come back in, to see their return. But there's also, the matter of them now going up against these new set of characters that they've established over these past few episodes as really likable, right? I certainly like them. I like most of them. So, I found myself in a really tricky situation once again, much like, season 3, part 2, Reiner and Bertolt on one side, and then, the Scouts on the other side. It was more so of like cheering for both sides. I mean, there's some of that in here as well, because because it kind of felt like this is Act One, right, of this encounter. Because it certainly left off on a cliffhanger, and there's certainly a few more players that are absent, that are probably going to come in the next part of this. So say in Act One, they got outclassed, they got bamboozled, they got blindsided, and they had no reply, right? They got beat down. And Galliard finds himself on the ropes. I was speaking of the Game of Thrones episode, right? Season 7, episode 4. You have Jaime Lannister, Bronn, and the Lannister army on one side, and you have Daenerys and Drogon and the Dothraki horde on the other side. And, around that time, the discourse around that situation or that encounter, it was fascinating to see people's thoughts on that. It was jarring even because, for a lot of them, it was as simple as, Team Daenerys, let her burn everyone. And they couldn't care less about characters like Bronn or Jaime Lannister. And, they didn't see anything wrong with these Lannister army soldiers burning alive, right? So again, to each their own, but I found that so jarring. And even in my own comment section, I remember people saying things like, "Oh, you must be into incest because you're backing Jaime Lannister, or you're hoping he doesn't die." And I was just like, I was so baffled by that. Like, again, to each their own, right? But it was so jarring to see how dismissive people could be of characters that they have no interest in, right? Or how tribal they can be over the characters they really like, and everyone else is just nothing, right? So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out for Shingeki. Now my thought is that I'm sure that for a lot of people it's going to be the same as me. Super excited to see the scouts come back in, yet still concerned for the safety of some of these new characters, and you don't want to see them harmed or die or be badly injured. Not that being said, I get it. I understand that, for a lot of people, the moment the scouts are back in the picture, it's like, all right, that's my team. It's been my team for years. I have to jump back, back there now. It's time to get back to the OG squad now that they're back in the game or back in the spotlight. So I get that. That's the crew the audience has been following this whole time. So, of course, I'm damn excited to see all of them, I love them, of course. But, Isayama-san has, established these new set of characters, and it's been quite successful, right? Hugely successful in terms of establishing empathy for them. And then, of course, in that sense, it's set up nicely for Act 2, right? Galliard's on the ropes, and it ended on a cliffhanger as Heicho comes right up at the end there. So it's set up nicely for Peak-chan to enter the conflict, right, as Card Titan, and, of course, the Panzer unit. Now, they set up that she is going to enter the conflict because she told the Panzer unit to get the gear ready, right, for the Card Titan. So, that's exciting, and that's also another reason to be concerned now, because Peak is also entering the fight. So, that elevates the situation even more, right? Or the tension levels even more, because now you have Peak coming in who could also be in danger, but also Peak is coming in and potentially putting the scouts in danger, right? So this is set up so nicely in that sense. It was executed perfectly by Isayama-san. And, this is a really strong possibility that was established even in the first episode, right? That in the near future, these characters are going to clash, especially showing us Jean right at the end of episode 1. It was clear that they're going to clash at some point. It established that in the near future, they are going to come head to head. And yeah, it's gone to that point now. And speaking of Peak, how about her, leadership qualities? She jumped right into that leadership role, and again, her superior judgment is on display here, right? As they mentioned in episode 3, as they're doing that, sleeper cell dossier scene. that her superior judgment is perfect for the Cart Titan. And yet again, you see it on display here. Taking control, right? Jumping right into a leadership position. And of course, because of her superior judgment, she was able to anticipate or notice that this soldier looks a bit iffy, right? Something's off about this bearded soldier. She was able to tip off one of the Panzer unit members, and because of that, they are now free from the pit. Now, of course, Peak was the major absence, right? Or one of the big absences. But, there's one more major absence at this point in time. It's Zeke Jaeger, the Beast Titan. Now, that's quite an absence, right? Quite a major absence. Now, in the discussion for my last episode, or the discussion for the last episode, I had no idea that it's going to play out like this. So, now at this point in time, Zeke's absence is suspicious, right? So, if Zeke doesn't show up here, it's highly suspicious, right? Especially because, there's characters like Lord Tiber and specifically the commander, Magath, that already have reason to believe that there are rats within their own ranks, right? And he already kind of has a bit of a concern about Zeke, right? He said that thing about not in this room, tipping off the other unit members about, the bugged room. Now, this is fascinating, isn't it? How does this even play out? Because Zeke cannot afford to not show up, right? That's too big a risk for him to not show up, the war chief to not show up in this case. But then, if he does show up, he's in a position that requires him to counter attack Aaron's people. And, these are not just people, these are people he considers family, the scouts. And I'm sure, this topic came up. They've been talking for some time now, clearly. So how does Zeke handle this, right? That's the interesting dilemma he's in now, or the situation at hand. Now that being said, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he has a plan of action, right? He has something up his sleeve. See, this is a major play put into effect by Aaron, right? And I still firmly believe it's because Zeke gave him that intel. Surely, who else? Like I said, they made it quite clear that Zeke and Aaron are now in contact. So, but here's the question, right? Here's the real question. Did Zeke just give him intel, or did he specifically ask Aaron or implore Aaron to make a power play here, right? In going through with this move or this plan of his? Now, I say a plan of his, I'm still not sure, right? It all comes down to what the hell they've been talking about and the things they've said to each other. I'm still not 100% sure that this is Aaron's plan right from the beginning. They could have come up with the plan together, perhaps. And then that takes me to something the commander was kind of thinking about in that room. He's kind of having this inner monologue about that surely these people, and by these people I mean Eldians or the scouts, the Paradis Eldians, surely they knew going through with this kind of attack would easily turn everyone against them, yet they still executed the attack, right? And right before he got to his conclusion about that possible conclusion, he gets distracted, right, because of the grenade that gets tossed in. But see, the one thing the commander does not know is that Aaron has been acting on his own. And Aaron certainly knows the connotations of going through with this kind of plan. He knew, and that was one of the talking points in my discussion from the last episode, that he was ready to take on this role of this rebel against peace, this devil of Paradis. Now, see, that poses the question, and I think the commander was about to arrive at this same conclusion almost before, again, the grenade kind of broke up that thought process of his. Is it possible that this is exactly how they wanted it to play out? That they want everyone to be their enemy, and because of that, because of that declaration, Aaron had no choice but to attack at that moment in time. And for the audience, it becomes since the commander doesn't know that Aaron is acting on his own in this plan initially, at least until the scouts showed up to back him. For us, the audience, that's the question, right? Is Aaron actually hoping for this, or this is how he was hoping it kind of turns out, right? to make themselves the enemy, right? And again, in extension to Eren, Zeke, that's the question mark, right? Again, it all comes down to their conversations and things they've talked about, and the plans they've made, perhaps. And, staying on the topic of notable absences, even the scouts had some notable absences. Two characters specifically, Hanji and Armin, they did not show up. Now, it's understandable, given the fact that they are the brains of the operation, of the scouts, Hanji, Zoe, and Armin. It makes sense to not have them be part of this tactical unit. They had more than enough personnel regardless, right? So you don't really need the brains, Hanji and Armin, to be part of this unit. They had more than enough. In that sense, it was clear to see that they've recruited more scout members to join the crew. Essentially, it kind of became like Kenny's anti-personnel squad, didn't it? Right? They really kind of adapted that approach. They kind of had to, right? Essentially. Now, the possibility of Armin and Hanji coming into this is quite an exciting one as well, right? So it's kind of like that was Act 1, but in Act 2, things escalate even more. More of these characters come into the conflict on either side. So, now I noticed that they are putting up some beacons, light beacons, right? Sasha reminded Connie about the lights, and I haven't even talked about them yet. More on that later, but of course, it appeared to be some sort of light beacon that they're placing on the roof. Now, my immediate thought at that moment in time was, is this for Armin, the new god of destruction, right? It's certainly a beacon of sorts, right? If you put it up on the rooftop like that, they are trying to get someone to notice that for sure. I think that much is clear. Now, staying on the topic of scouts and their epic return to the series, and isn't it fantastic how that was set up? These characters that have been the focus of the series and the audience has followed for years. Now, their return after a bit of a change of focus, their return, well, it was so exciting, right? Even though these are characters we've known for years, but they managed, or Isayama-san managed to make it so exhilarating and so exciting to have them pop out after not being on screen, or most of them not being on screen for this season so far. And damn, they were impressive, right? And damn, did they look good, all of them. Jean Boy, who I did see in episode 1. Now this is official confirmation, Connie Springer, man. Connie Springer looked damn good. He looked like he filled out. You see his shoulders, right? Sasha was looking damn good. That's for sure. She had a new hairstyle going, and she looked really good in that all black. I mean, all of them looked amazing in that all black uniform, right? They incorporated some different equipment in there, thunder spears, and then the anti-personnel ODM gear that was being utilized here as well. And Flock, let's not forget Flock. He's still around, and he's still the same. He's still, all about that. Anyone who's not us is the enemy. And then, in that sense, he even found himself this new devil figure to follow, right? Eren. Funny how that turned out, right? Given how things were kind of playing out in that season 3 finale, right? All of them look so calm, they look so composed, so experienced, right? You see that they've grown up, and that's the brilliant thing about this, right? They've shown us their growth since the early days of the 104th training days, and then going through all those insane experiences, growing up together. And out of the three I just mentioned there, Jean, Sasha, and Connie, I'd say Sasha seemed the most different, right? She seemed more serious now, that goofy attitude isn't there at the moment, at least. She was, she was fully into the mission, or focused on the mission at hand. And she even kind of sounded a bit different. Again, a serious tone about her. And of course, it makes sense that she's the sniper, though it didn't look like she had a sniper, but she's certainly a good shot, given that she's fantastic with the bow and arrow. Going back to season 2, episode 2. And then of course there's the two Ackermans. Oh my goodness. Now Mikasa's entrance was phenomenal for sure. Again, a callback to the Forest of the Giant Trees. She essentially got Levi's entrance, right? Is the exact same music or the exact same track that played in the Forest of the Giant Trees as Levi is in pursuit of the female Titan Annie. And he comes in, he just chops her up. Something similar happened here, right, with Mikasa. And another parallel here, she comes in, same track, and she's actually going after a female Titan. And the animation as Mikasa swings in, that whole scene, it's now or never Mikasa, as Eren kind of stood on top of his attack Titan. Incredible scene, right, to reintroduce Mikasa. And then of course there's Levi Heicho. His entrance, they saved the best for last. You actually even see him up top for a split second. I saw it, but then they immediately switched to another scene, so I had to quickly pay attention to the next scene. But you see him standing on top, right, and you see the blades as he's holding them. He's standing on top of like a pillar, as Eren's trying to consume the Warhammer Titan, even though it's encased in this crystal, much like Annie's. So he was there. You see him up top on the pillar. But, he springs into action as Galliard attempts to consume Eren or bite his nape. And that was just, again, phenomenal, right? His entrance, and then, he's swinging around, and he's the only one that's got the blades. And then he's even got the Wings of Freedom cape, right? Or the hooded cape they have. It appeared that he was the only one who had that. So, again, it reminds me of that, notion of him being the last of his kind, keeping old traditions alive and, not moving on. Now, of course, him having the blades could have been part of the plan. Maybe his responsibility was something else. But, I would like to think, or it makes sense that, someone like Levi, who is the last of his kind now, alongside Hanji, that he does hold on to some of these things from the past, right? And that he's not fully moving on to this new gear. And, he's damn good with the blades. So, yeah, if you're good at it, there's no need to switch it up, right? But, you see him spring into action, and he had the blades perhaps for that reason, and he cut the jaw right off, essentially, right? And, rendered him useless in that sense. And I love that scene as he's swinging around and he's like sliding on the ground. Again, anytime you see Heicho out in the field, it's a treat, because you just don't see it that often, right? And the other, major revelation of this episode is the Warhammer Titan, right? Finally showcased, and it was quite the sight, quite impressive, almost too OP, right? It had the capacity or capability of, manifesting these large swords or the large hammer or the bow and arrow, right? And then, it can even kind of manipulate the surroundings, and you see the spikes come out of the ground, right? And they impale the attack Titan's feet. And then, of course, that spike, it just kind of sends through Eren and kind of, launches him into the sky. And that shot was such a cool shot, In the distance, you see the attack Titan impaled by this massive spike. But yeah, this is an impressive Titan, the Warhammer Titan. And in a one-on-one fight, the attack Titan was not able to, do much against the Warhammer Titan. And this wasn't just the same Eren either. This was a composed Eren. And you see that he has a much better grasp on his, attack Titan at this point in time. You see that he transforms multiple times, in quick succession. He's got that down for sure. Eren was so different, right? He was so composed. He was so in control of his emotions. Gone are the days of, just rushing in head first, letting rage kind of drive his moment-to-moment actions, letting rage take over. And how fantastic is it that Eren is actually implementing or, utilizing the stance, Annie's Muay Thai stance. That was so great to see. And, they go at it. And again, it was reminiscent of the Attack Titan versus the female Titan in Stohess, right? A lot of carnage, a lot of destruction. And I thought it was so refreshing to see, a character jump in before a complete transformation, right? He didn't let the Warhammer Titan completely transform before he starts pummeling, before he starts smashing her, right, into the ground. It reminded me of things like Dragon Ball Z back in the day, and how, characters kind of just stood back and let the other characters transform into their final form, right, before they actually engage, kind of like a respect thing or a code. But Eren, no, he didn't care. He jumped in because he only had one task, and it was clear. It was to take the Warhammer Titan, right, to consume it. Now, given that it's or Lara Tiber is encased in this crystal shell, it's going to be tough. At this point in time, they're going to have to just take her. The crystal shell, that is. Now, that being said, Eren's plan of eating or consuming the Warhammer Titan, right, and taking on the abilities of the Warhammer Titan, that in itself, the fact that that's his plan, to consume the Warhammer Titan himself, right, rather than give it to, or have the plans of giving it to another scout. That in itself is quite interesting, isn't it? And it really starts going into some possibilities here. This new approach that he doesn't want to give it to anyone else. He's not trying to bring a Titan over to their side. He wants to just consume the Warhammer Titan. Now, again, say he does somehow get to consume Lara Tiber, if they can get her out of that crystal enclosure. Now, before I move any further, she's able to control the Warhammer Titan from inside the crystal, right? So that's something new, right? So the Warhammer Titan is quite impressive in that sense. And you can see, why they kind of saved it for last, to, show us the Warhammer Titan as the last Titan. So, say Eren could kind of, break in somehow and consume her. How does that manifest into his own appearance? Does his Attack Titan change at all in terms of appearance? Or does he just remain the Attack Titan as his base look, but he has, the Founding Titan, and then he could potentially have the Warhammer Titan, and then once he potentially has the Warhammer Titan, then maybe he can, use these different amazing capabilities and, manifesting these things. That could be quite useful. That's for sure. But again, the tricky thing is getting her out of the crystal enclosure. Annie's still stuck in hers, right? Or she's still kind of sealed in hers. So how do you get this one out? And this one seems to be able to control the Titan from within the crystal enclosure. So that's most impressive. Now I'll come back to Eren's plan on consuming the Warhammer Titan himself rather than getting someone from the scouts to, take on the Titan. There's a lot of different connotations, but I'll get to that. Let's get to Lara Tiber, right? Now, they made it clear that she is about to execute Eren, right? Of course, the Mikasa showed up, but she showed no signs or no intent to consume Eren. But Eren has the Founding Titan, yet Lara Tiber showed no interest in consuming Eren and taking the Founding Titan. Now that is quite intriguing. That is interesting. How could you possibly not take that opportunity, right? And they established that the commander certainly plans on taking the Founding Titan back, and that was the goal. That was the plan. Yet Lara Tiber is showing no interest in that, right? And say, hypothetical, right? Say she ended up killing Eren in that moment, right? then the founding titan goes to some random Eldian baby, right? Yet to be born Eldian baby. So see, that right there, that's something interesting. The fact that she has no interest in taking on the founding titan, that she'd rather kill Eren. Again, the only thing I can think of is that, given that she is the Warhammer Titan, and, again, Lord Tiber established that, he got the memories of, or the Tibers got the memories of past holders of the Warhammer Titan. Does she know something that the audience doesn't know at this point? And that is the reason she is, foregoing consuming the founding titan, perhaps. And she thinks it's a better approach to kill Eren Jaeger and relinquish the founding titan back into the open, perhaps. Something to keep an eye out on. Now jumping back to Eren having the plan to consume the Warhammer Titan. Now yes, it's not easy to just line up another scout, another, close friend or someone, and to just give them the Warhammer Titan, because, now it's been established that there is the 13-year lifespan, the curse, right? The ticking time bomb. So it's not easy to find a new candidate to take on something like that. Especially something like the Warhammer Titan. But, Eren established that he wants to consume the Warhammer Titan himself. So, say he gets the Warhammer Titan. That's 3 Titans that he has out of the 9, right? Now, see, this gives me a good chance to kind of go down the rabbit hole in terms of potential endgame theories, right? Down the line, perhaps. Now, having 2 already, the founding titan and the attack titan, and now he wants to add the 3rd, the Warhammer Titan, that would give him 3 out of the 9. Now, they established in season 3, part 2, that the founder Ymir, after she passed on, after she died, the spirit was kind of split up into 9 parts, right? Her spirit was split up into 9 parts, or the 9 titans. Now, as a hypothetical, what happens if Eren manages to take all 9 titans, and he also has a founding titan, right, to begin with? So, what if he has all 9 titans, right? Of course, that starts going into a dark route, or on a dark road or path, because, that would require him to consume his own, best friend Armin to take on the Colossal Titan. And then, of course, there's the task of taking on the rest of the Titans. But again, this is just a hypothetical. Could something happen if he brings all the Titans back together into one? No, I mean, that's, quite a tall order, even as a hypothetical, to collect all 9 Titans into one individual. But yeah, the fact that he made the choice, or he knows that he has to consume the Warhammer Titan, I think that is quite telling. Now this isn't attached to this hypothetical at all, but, now going back to him deciding that he has to consume the Warhammer Titan. Now, of course, by doing that, you take that from the enemy, right? You take that Titan, quite a substantial ability, quite a substantial asset from the enemy, right? And you bring it to your side. Now, going back to Eren and Mikasa, but before I go any further, how about her appearance? She actually looked kind of different, and I'm not talking about her hair. Yes, of course, she had shorter hair at this point, but I'm talking about the physical appearance. She looked different. Like her facial structure almost. So I'm not sure the reasoning for that. But she certainly looked different, that's for sure. And the way she was animated or drawn. Now, compared to the others, Jean and Connie and Sasha, it's they're pretty much the same. I noticed they made Jean a bit more chubby cheeked almost. Same with Flock, but Connie and Sasha looked essentially the same, other than some physical differences in their bodies. And Sasha had a different haircut as well, of course. But yeah, Mikasa looked quite different for some reason. But going back to the original point, I got confirmation that yes, Eren was out here doing his own thing. He straight up even said, "Oh, you guys actually came." So he wasn't even sure that they would come. So the fact that they're here is quite surprising to Eren, right? So even that in itself is interesting. But yeah, Mikasa reminded him, or tried to tell him about the magnitude of his actions, and they're quite substantial actions. The magnitude of his definitive actions. There's been a lot of death, a lot of civilians have died, including children, things he cannot take back. But then you go over to Eren, he's quite despondent, right? Stoic, right? He's focused on the mission. Like, that didn't really change anything. It didn't rattle him. No emotion. So even that in itself could be quite telling to someone like Mikasa, who cares so much for him, to notice that he doesn't seem to have any remorse, perhaps, or that this doesn't really affect him, knowing that he killed civilians and children even. And speaking of that, I feel like they showed some of that imagery in the season 3 finale, right? The ending, especially that one child that was stuck under the rubble. But that one shot of the carnage, I feel like that's straight out of the opening of this season, right? You see a hand sticking out, you see someone's face, you see the carnage, and they have a really similar shot in the opening. But there's two sides to this, right? Of course, as a unit, they were phenomenal out there. The newly equipped, or I don't know how long they've had this gear for, clearly some time. They look quite good and quite effective with it. But as a unit, executing an attack or a plan of action, a mission, they were phenomenal. But there's certainly disharmony there. You see Jean and Flock, they're butting heads here over the different philosophies here, right? Jean is not about this approach at all, Eren's approach, for sure. You can see how a lot of people disagreed with this approach, and Jean being one of them, for sure, clearly. He doesn't want to see, civilian casualties. Yet you have Flock here, who anyone who's not us is the enemy, right? So there's certainly some disharmony there, that's for sure. And then, speaking of disharmony, Eren has been the one ace in the hole for the scouts for a long time now, right? They've had this Titan on their side, and beyond that, it's been established how important Eren is, given that he has a founding Titan, and the potential there is just incredible, right? But the fact that they're at odds is quite interesting or intriguing or concerning, right? That someone this substantial to their cause is actually at odds with them, or they're at odds with him and his approach. Now, again, I brought up this aspect of it in my last discussion, or the discussion before that, in the last discussion. How are people going to react to this? Jean isn't about this. The scouts are here now. That's a given, right? That's established. But it's not a given that all of them actually wanted to be here, right? They're out here because of Eren. So, that's on Eren. That the whole scout regiment is here. Though, of course, no one forced them, but, having Eren out here who plans on doing something like this, that kind of almost forces them to come out here, right? They kind of had to. But then you see Jean, right? You could tell, Jean definitely didn't want to go through with this kind of plan, right? So much civilian casualties, right? So many civilian casualties, sorry. This seemed like it was just act 1 of this battle, or, this conflict, encounter here in Marley. The commander called in backup, right? He called in the naval fleet, right? He called in these soldiers from the mountains on special training. So this is just beginning, the Card Titan's probably going to come in. Then, Armin and Hanji are still out there, They're going to do something at some point, potentially. So everyone's out here because of Eren. But yeah, as I mentioned in the last discussion, or perhaps even the one before that, it'll be interesting to see how, higher ups, figureheads like Hanji and Heicho react to seeing Eren after all this time, because he's been gone for some time, right? Clearly, Mikasa straight up told him, please come home. So it feels like this is, that things haven't been that great, clearly, for these last few years, especially this time skip, clearly. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of react to seeing Eren last time Levi and Aaron were at odds with each other, he backhanded Aaron and, he knocked a few teeth loose. So, yeah, I can't really see Heicho being happy with Aaron, that's for sure. Especially because he is doing his own thing out here, right? And the one thing they've established is that Levi hates it if you put his squad at risk or their lives at risk. This happened back in Ilse's notebook, right? Hanji kind of put the Levi squad's lives at risk, in pursuit of this Titan. So I still remember he got quite angry about that, right? He was agitated about that. And now you have Aaron. Because of him, the whole scout regiment is out here, right? Including, the Levi squad and these new members. So yeah, Levi's, I cannot see how Levi could possibly be happy to see Aaron. Now, in terms of parallels and, this vicious cycle continuing, there's clearly a parallel to the first attack, the initial attack in episode 1, in Shiganshina. But, I feel like this attack is even more brutal and frightening in its carnage, and it's dished out by our own Eren Jaeger, right? And I mean, I feel like Eren's probably, inspired a handful of, revenge origin stories at this point. Of course, the one that is depicted here is Gabi. Whoa, I mean, Gabi. I mean, her life has changed forever. The trajectory of her life has changed forever. I mean, her goals are kind of streamlined even more at this point in time, given her disposition even before any of this happened. To us, the audience who knows Eren Jaeger, yes, that's him out there, and that's his attack titan out there. But, to these innocent civilians and the people that are watching, he truly is, this figure they've established, or Lord Tiber has established, evil incarnate, right? This devil of Paradis, the rebel to the peace. And, that one shot of the attack titan, that is legitimately frightening, right? Even for, me, that's frightening to see him like that. So imagine those innocent people, right? The people of Liberio and everyone else that's in the crowd. Imagine them seeing that, right? That fits right into that narrative, right? That this is the true enemy, and they saw that frightening sight of the attack titan, right? And at that moment in time, it certainly looked like he had that rage or that primal urge about him. That shot was just wow. It's a haunting image, that's for sure. That's the scariest I've ever seen the attack titan look. That's for sure. That's for damn sure. And you see that in Gabi's first reaction, her initial reaction to seeing the Titan, right? Wow, it's again, even the scream itself is haunting, similar to Armin's scream, right, in episode 5 of season 1, as Eren gets chomped by Santa Titan by one of the restorationists. Again, a lot of callbacks, a lot of similarities here, even in the carnage that happens, as the attack titan is going on a rampage, running riot. You see Udo get trampled. You see Sophia, she gets crushed by the flying debris, right? And it's similar as Eren is trying to free his mother from the debris. You see Udo trying the same thing here. And there's that one shot that really stands out to me. It's of Colt, who himself is quite rattled, but he's got Gabi in his arms, and Gabi is just shell-shocked at that moment. They actually established really early on that Gabi adores her hometown, Liberio, right? Even though it's, it's not the greatest living conditions for Eldians, and she certainly has a goal in mind, right? A mission in mind. Yet she still has love for this hometown, I remember they came back on that train and she jumps out. She's just so happy to be back. And that hometown she loves so much, she essentially sees it just, destroyed piece by piece, or from, different angles of it, or different elements of that hometown just, destroyed or changed forever. She has to watch her friends die, Sophia and Udo. She has to watch, innocent people get trampled. she saw those two guards, those nice Marley guards who cared about her. They wanted to protect her even then. She saw both of them get shot, and Sasha actually shot the other one, right? And there's this really tense moment that happens there. Sasha actually clocks Gabby, and she doesn't shoot her, but Gabby also sees Sasha, right? There's that one really poignant shot of Gabby looking up at Sasha, and you see Sasha reflected in her pupils, right? Almost as if she put a face to all of this madness, right? In that sense, it even reminded me of Kill Bill, right? So, but the one thing that had me a bit puzzled is her questioning why Udo and Sophia had to die, given the fact that, unlike Eren from episode 1, Gabby actually knows how war is, right? But again, that was the thing, right? She only knew the heroics of it. Now she's getting to see the dark side of it, or the dark side is affecting her personally at this point in time. So yeah, young Gabby's life has changed forever. This hometown she loves so much has changed forever. So, there's that one shot of, it's a tight shot of her mouth. You see her gritting her teeth, and she's so angry, right? She's just raging at that moment, right? So hate breeds hate, retaliation breeds retaliation. Her picking up that rifle is such a strong symbolic moment, or moment for her trajectory, right? I feel like she's not gonna stop until, or she's not gonna get off this path until she gets her revenge, right? No matter how long it takes. But, essentially everything that has happened here tonight has reiterated all of her beliefs about the Island Devils, Eren Jaeger. The indoctrination is proven to be correct, right? Because of this. And all of these things that are, the propaganda and all of these lies that have been spread about the Island Devils, unfortunately, even though it's not true, because of these actions, because of Eren's actions here, and of course, not because of him, the scouts who had to join in as well. Now it has to be true, essentially, right? Because this is what people see. This is what the world is going to see. And in that sense, Lord Tiber's plan succeeded. Now, in an episode that is full of incredible scenes, I feel like the opening scene itself stands out as one of the best of the episode, and perhaps even one of the best of the season, actually. I'm speaking of the carriage scene in the beginning, Lord Tiber and the commander. And on that note, I feel like the commander is a strong contender for best new character of the season. He's just so fascinating. You simply cannot help but be intrigued by his disposition and his actions, right? Such a fantastic character, such a fantastic new character introduced so late on. And, in that sense, even Lord Tiber himself is a fantastic new impact character, right? He only lasted a few episodes, but damn did he leave a mark. And again, Isayama-san has proven time and time again that he's brilliant at writing these types of characters, right? And, the music in that scene, incredible, just incredible. It was kind of mesmerizing. You're kind of lost in this conversation they're having, right? And then it kind of snaps you out of it. Again, that transitional hinge after they shake hands and Eren's roar kicks in. Wow. Such a fantastic transition, right? And then, of course, you see that jarring image of a dead Lord Tiber falling into the Attack Titan's mouth, and then you see the commander's immediate reaction to that after, this shows this conversation in the carriage. And, the carriage itself has been used in this manner before, the scene with the commander and Zachary came to mind. That one was about selfish desires. So I really do like the carriage scenes, they really are quite intimate, right, in that sense. And given the nature of these conversations and the topics that are being discussed, the carriage scene is one of my favorites at this point in time. Now, even before they get into the carriage, the opening scene of him saying the final goodbyes, it's quite effective in establishing just how difficult this is and just how much he's leaving behind in order to become this sacrificial lamb. it's difficult, right? You see that his family, well, I mean, his wife knows about this, and imagine knowing that this is the last time you're going to see your husband, and you know, that scene of him kind of hugging his kids for the last time, his children for the last time. Yeah, quite a sad scene, right? But you know, before I go any further, you know, in the beginning of the reaction or the episode, I had a bit of a, you know, light bulb moment. They showed those toys, right? Now, I felt that that might have been, I mean, the scene itself is not the same, but you know, those toys reminded me of the toys from, or you know, a set of toys from Aaron's dream from episode 1 of the series, right? So that's the reason I was like, you know, freaking out and just going like, time out, time out. Could that be it? You know, could that be it? Now, you know, the ones in his flashback, that appeared to be like a room of some sort, but this, you know, these toys are just out in the open in this big area, but still, you know, it really reminded me of that. Now, you know, getting into the carriage itself and the conversation and the topics at hand, I thought it was riveting, that scene. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I really do think it's one of the best of the season. And, you know, again, their first meeting on the balcony, that was another one that was one of the best of the season. Now, you know, it appears that, you know, the Tybers have been planning this for years, or, you know, the foundation has been laid over the years, you know, to get to this point. And, you know, Lord Tiber himself has been, you know, spending years trying to, you know, build up to this moment, to be in this kind of position that he's able to bring, or he's able to have the influence over so many important people, right? That he is able to bring them all out here, right? So, you know, they've been building relations for years to set up this final performance, or Lord Tiber has been building towards this for years, right? If I'm understanding this correctly. And yeah, as established already, he was bait. You know, it was so clear that he's open. He knows this, right? Going up on that stage, he's serving up as bait, and you know, the commander knew this. They both knew this. You could tell in the last episode that they know how this is about to play out. Now, essentially, you know, he was successful in establishing himself and these Liberio Eldians as, you know, victims of this unforeseen attack, right? Essentially separating Eldians, or outside Eldians, from the Paradis Eldians, right? Now, the focus is on them. The entire world is focused on the Paradis Eldians, right? One of the best moments from the scene is Lord Tiber kind of losing his cool for a moment, right? Because he's agitated, or he's outraged by the concern he's hearing from the commander about Eldians, right? And how many people could potentially die, or how many Eldians could potentially die here. And, you know, Lord Tiber is kind of outraged by this. He's like, oh, don't you change on me now. They're spawn of the devil, right? You know, all these things you've put them through. Now, you know, you're showing concern. Don't change on me. But, you know, as he's saying all of this, I love the look on the commander's face. It's a stern look, but, you know, he's kind of, his head's tilted down, but he's looking up right at him, you know, eye contact. And you see Lord Tiber kind of, after being angry, he kind of, you know, gathers himself. You know, he's a bit flustered, because I feel like he thought he completely knew the commander. You know, he knows sacrifices have to be made sometimes during war, but it doesn't mean he likes it, right? And again, it's the same here. He does have concern for innocent Eldian lives. But they've established that the commander is different. That's the reason he's so fascinating, right? Yes, he admits that they are spawn of the devil, but again, you know, he doesn't treat them in that manner. Yeah, and of course, he even feels responsibility for some of them, you know, especially the candidates and the unit, right? The warrior unit. And then, you know, there's a shot of him watching all the soldiers return home to their families, right? That was one of the standout moments of the season so far. You know, Lord Tiber, I spoke of Stohess earlier, you know, the parallels to that. Another parallel here is to Commander Smith again. You know, Commander Smith was ready to put civilian lives at risk for that plan. He did put civilian lives at risk, didn't he? Same type of thing here, right? And then also another parallel I see here is Levi and the Commander Smith. That is from The Perfect Game, season 3, episode 16, right? The Commander knew that he has to give up his life and, these recruits in order to stand a chance, or, give them a chance, the rest of the scouts a chance, and make sure this crusade goes on. Same type of thing here, right? Lord Tybur knew that he has to sacrifice himself and, the innocent Eldians in Liberio. And then, of course, the handshake itself, right before the handshake happens, the commander, he admits, they're devils as well, right? So, yeah, and then, in that sense, that reminded me of Eren and Reiner's handshake in the last episode, right? As equals. So how about this, right? Someone from Marley, someone from Eldian, shaking hands as equals, right? How about that? How about that? I love that scene of the commander and his soldiers mimicking the scene from the Forest of the Giant Trees, right? Levi and the Levi squad. They were in a state of panic, remember? Levi's just stoic and composed as the rest of the squad, Petra and Oryu and the others, they're just freaking out, right? They're just in a state of panic, asking for a command or an update or a plan of action. Same thing here, right? The commander is stoic and composed as his soldiers are just freaking out, right? They're just losing control. They're also in a state of panic. And then of course he takes a symbolic shot of signaling Marley's counterattack. Again, great moment, just a great moment. And even the music that was playing behind that scene or accompanying that scene, fantastic, right? Remember, I took the first shot. Yeah, man, such a great character. But yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. I think that's about it. Again, as always, if I miss something and I remember something, I'll make a note of it and I'll bring it up in the next episode. So yeah, I enjoyed that quite a bit. I enjoyed that so much. Right then, so if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like. That really does help the channel and it helps this get noticed even more by more Shingeki fans. Consider dropping some comments. Give me your thoughts. If you're interested in early access to the next episode right now, or maybe even full length to this episode, consider checking out the Patreon page. It's just an option. If you're interested in that, check out the different listings there. Perhaps something might catch your eye. And also you could totally check out the plans for anime in 2021. It's an extensive list. Anyone can go check it out. It's on the homepage. So yeah, I hope to get to a handful of those in 2021. And consider checking out the pinned comment. It has the link to the Patreon page. It has links to my social media. And if I need to make any updates, I usually update the pinned comment right at the top of the comment section. You cannot miss it. Right then, that's about it. That was a damn good episode, man. That was a damn good episode. And it appears that it's just the beginning, that was like act 1 of this encounter. So episode 7, yeah. Episode 7 promises to be insane. Thank you for checking that out. Thank you for your time. And I hope to see you again soon. Take it easy.